This podcast brought to you by Basecrete, leaders in waterproof bond coatings for the swimming pool and construction industry.
I'm chatting with Ravi Kurani today, founder of Sutro. Ravi has incidentally been a pool guide practically his whole life. His journey as an entrepreneur has been an American success story. Highly educated. Ravi has a degree in mechanical engineering and an MBA in international finance. He's also got a certificate from Stanford in renewable energy systems. Just talking about a smart guy when it comes to water management. We're talking probably with one of the brightest minds in pool automation technology today. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Hey, Ravi, can you give us a little bit of backstory about how you got involved in the pool industry?
Yeah, of course. So my background in the pool industry starts with the, sunny skies of Southern California. My dad used to have a chain of pool and spa supply stores down in Los Angeles area. And I grew up, doing everything from installing pool pumps to running pool tests behind the counter to, acid washes and basically everything in the above. And from that knowledge and kind of running thousands of tests probably in my early days, we kind of came up with the idea of how do you basically take everything that was in my dad's pool store, Magnolia Pool Supplies, and basically crunch it into a device, right? How do I democratize what my dad used to do at the pool store and drop that robot into somebody's pool so they can have the same sort of knowledge and information that they were coming into the pool store to basically get? And that's kind of the beginnings, the kind of genesis of the way that Sutro started.
What's the reception been like with the product since you brought it to market?
Oh my gosh, it's been crazy. I mean, I think there's two kind of very logical trends that are moving in the market right now. The first that probably started about 8 to 10 years ago is just smart automation, right? Everybody now has some sort of a smart device in their home, whether that be the Chromecast that you use to stream your Netflix, your Roku stick, all the way to your August Home smart lock or your Ring doorbell. And so I think the prevalence of smart technology aligned with the fact that people want more data around the things that they're using really makes Sutro in kind of a perfect position to run this water management space in your backyard swimming pool. And so those two things combined really give a pretty obvious rise to figuring out how to run water chemistry. The big kind of aha moment for us, and the reason that people are, coming to Sutro, is because the existing way that people measured water chemistry was flawed. And I say the existing way from an automation standpoint. The way that people currently measure water chemistry around, reagent test kits, your little drip test kit, your water strip, and looking at the colorimetry is the kind of true and tried method that we've been using for the last, probably 100 to 200 years. You have large companies like, Lamott and Taylor, and that's how the EPA measures our drinking water that we get from our tap. And so the problem really arises in this kind of ORP pH sensor technology, right? These sensors tend to drift over time. They're really not good for consumers because you need to constantly calibrate them. That's just the way that the physics works. And so what we've done actually is we've taken Lamott and Taylor reagents and we've just figured out how to make your existing way of measuring your pool water using the colorimetric test kit just super small. And so basically what you're seeing inside the Sutro is a legitimate floating test lab that actually does your test for you in that water, the same way that you would do it with a test kit or a test strip. And so we kind of leapfrog this ORP and pH technology by bringing in what was old into something that's entirely new from an automation standpoint.
And what's the science behind the technology, how that device actually works? I mean, you said it's like a floating chemistry lab pretty much, but how is it a smart device and how does it talk to your phone? I mean, maybe you can give our listeners a little bit more insight as to how this thing really works.
Yeah, for sure. Maybe I can kind of spring that question back onto you really quick. What's the run-of-the-mill way that you would test the water inside your pool?
Well, I mean, I know probably 75% of pool owners out there are still using the tried and true method of just bringing a water sample to their local store, having them test the water, and then going home with a batch of chemicals to treat it themselves.
Yep, exactly. And so when you take that water to a pool store, what your pool store will do, when you give that guy your water sample, was probably one of two things, right? The thing that you probably see the most is they will pull out different reagents, right? And reagents are colored chemicals that basically change the water chemistry and the water color based off of what that tendency is, right? So if you put phenol red inside of pH, it'll turn different shades of red. And so basically what's happening there is that pool store runs that water test manually for you, and then basically uses the smarts that they have as somebody that works behind a counter, and says, hey, if you have a 20,000 gallon pool and your pH is 8.1, we need to decrease your pH, and so we're going to tell you to put in so many gallons of muriatic acid. Oh, you don't use muriatic acid? Then it's so many pounds of dry acid, right? That entire flow between water sample to test to recommendation is what we basically have inside of the Sutro monitor. And kind of zooming into the technology around the actual robot itself is a technology that's called microfluidics. And microfluidics is used in the medical industry all the time. You'll see it when you take your A1C for your diabetic test, where they'll take a few drops of blood and they'll basically use that small sample to analyze the chemistry in your blood. We do the exact same thing for water. And so the way that the Sutro system works is we have this proprietary cartridge that literally looks like a cassette tape. Inside of that cassette tape is a series of chemicals that are the exact same chemicals that your pool store uses, the exact same chemicals that you have by your pool in that Taylor test kit or that Lamont test kit, the exact same chemicals that are on that test strip that allow for a change in color. And so what usually ends up happening inside that Sutro cassette is we basically first pull a small sample of water in, and then we will forcefully drop really, really tiny amounts of that colored liquid inside of your pool water. And when I say really, really tiny, this is about 1/50th the size of a drop of water. So 1/50. After that liquid is put inside there, the device actually uses computer vision, right? It uses vision that it has to measure what the color is of that doped water, of the changed water chemistry. And based off of that color, it'll then send all of this information up to the cloud. And inside the cloud, it basically does a very similar thing to what you would do at home, and basically understanding your 20,000 gallon pool, your 8.1 pH, and you need to put in so much acid. And so what'll happen on the app is a really, really simple message on iOS or on Android that says, hey, Joe, looks like your pH is high. Put in, a half a gallon of acid or a quarter gallon of acid. And the really cool thing about that quote unquote recommendation of a quarter gallon of acid, what that acid is we actually work with all chemicals. You can scan anything that you buy, be it from a Walmart, from a Home Depot, from your Leslie's Pool Supply, from your Pinch a Penny, you buy chemicals from In the Swim. The Sutro recommendation system understands what those chemicals are to basically tell you exactly how much to put in of that chemical. And so that's kind of how the A to Z of the Sutro system works.
So it's like pretty much like having a smart on-demand pool guy to analyze your water chemistry.
Correct. Yeah, that's kind of it. Although I do want to move away from, us kind of calling it your, remote pool guy or your kind of remote pool store. Coming from the pool industry, I very much understand and realize the importance of the industry. I mean, there is an infrastructure here which we need to maintain and which we need to lean into. And I'm talking about the pool stores across the US and the pool guys across the US. The Sutro system is not meant to basically push out any of these people. We have built the system in a way such that we want to leverage them, and we want to drive more business back to the pool stores and pool service technicians. And the way that we actually do that from, like you said, 75% of your user base goes into a pool store to basically get their water tested. The Sutro system is like your Fitbit, right? It's just sitting on your wrist. It tells you, hey, Joe, you've been sitting in front of the computer for too long. Get up, go get some exercise, go get your steps in. It's kind of the heartbeat of what you're doing. And the pool store is the doctor in this analogy, right? Just because you wear a Fitbit does not negate your need to go to a doctor's office. And so the Sutro system is built the same way. The Sutro floating inside your swimming pool is the Fitbit for your swimming pool. That does not negate the need for you to need to go to a pool store or to your pool doctor. And so part of our system utilizes pool stores to get more data off of that water test, right? Because the Sutro does not do cyanuric acid. It does not do calcium hardness. It doesn't do metals. Those tests get done at your pool store. And with the bridging of your data between what's happening in your pool and what's happened at that pool store, you as the user can get a full 360-degree view of actually what's happening with your water. And we drive traffic back to the pool store to to sell chemicals, which is honestly where me and my dad used to make money, and which is where the pool stores across the US make their money. And so part of us and part of the system is built with that entirely in mind. And so I do just want to kind of tread lightly and kind of, bringing approximations of saying that Sutro is your pool guy or is your pool store. It's a heartbeat for your pool, more of is the kind of way to think about it.
That's an excellent diagnostic of what that product does, in my estimation. And that really speaks well to what a lot of people in the industry say it is good for and what it's not good for. Maybe you could talk a little bit more about how Sutro is looking to partner with the pool industry.
Yeah, definitely. So there's kind of three main segments in the pool industry, right? So the first is pool stores. The second I would label as pool service technicians. And the third would be pool builders. There's obviously much more complexity. There's, distribution, other things there. But for the sake of simplicity, let's just distill it down to these three. The first one, pool stores. The way that we work with pool stores is we have a integration with the Lamont Spin Touch, which many pool stores will have sitting behind their counter, the Spin Touch and the Spin Disc. And so the way that the Sutro system works is we have a portal that's called the Sutro Partners Portal. And that Partners Portal lives at the pool store so that when, Joe, the customer walking into Ravi's Pool Supply comes in, I can basically, with a simple phone number, if you, Joe, the customer, have authorized this, can look at your Sutro information as it's going on in your pool while you're standing right in front of me. On top of that, I can use the Lamont Spin Touch and the Spin Disc to layer on more data and more chemistry information to figure out the full picture of actually what's going on. After I have that information, the Partners Portal allows, Ravi of Ravi's Pool Store to basically send Joe the proper recommendation that you need to basically walk home and get exactly what recommendations you need to put in your pool. And on top of that, purchase those chemicals at Ravi's Pool Supply and use those chemicals inside of your swimming pool. So everything's custom built for that pool store, for you as a customer, for that interaction between Joe and Ravi's Pool Store. That's kind of for the first segment. The second segment around pool service technicians are, imagine Ravi's Pool Service Company, and I have 100 pools that I service on a weekly basis. If those 100 pools have 100 Sutros, I, as Ravi running my route, can be smarter, better, faster, walking into a house so that the chemistry can get done very quickly. And then I can spend the time on making sure the backyard is, looks beautiful for the homeowner. And I can spend time on making sure that I'm skimming properly, making sure the backyard's clean. And again, as I mentioned, know exactly what you're going into that backyard with from a chemistry angle. The third vertical around pool builders, especially with COVID and the amount of pools that were built, we're seeing a huge uptick in the amount of new pools that are built between 2020 and 2021. And the biggest problem that the NPC and the NPT has is that 28-day cure period, right? As soon as you pour that concrete inside there, or whatever material you're using, you need to make sure that you're managing your water chemistry, you're managing the calcium. Sutro is also building out a program, and as I mentioned, can be the heartbeat for that pool builder and for that new pool, such that the user doesn't have problems in their new pool construction and has that warranty information or that warranty problem with that pool builder, or potentially screws up the new pool that they've just gotten because they didn't know how to manage their water chemistry. And so that's how we're rolling out these three value propositions for pool stores, pool service technicians, and pool builders.
Yeah, I mean, I can certainly see how it might be helpful in helping monitor the water after getting a new pool interior or opening a pool for the first time.
Yeah, exactly. And especially for people that, are new pool owners, they're the most confused. And there's this kind of, negative relationship that begins to kind of build between the pool builder and the new pool owner. And it doesn't have to be that way, right? We want to help facilitate a better relationship between that pool builder and the new pool owner to have,
Yeah, efflorescence after like a month of having their pool open, I mean,
exactly, right? That's painful. It's like you spent $50K on this thing and you're like, what the heck's going on?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I think that really goes to speak well about how Sutro may help homeowners save time and money.
Exactly. And we do want to be, as I mentioned at the beginning, this bridge that bridges the pool owner to the industry. We're not here to replace anybody. We just want to make everybody, smarter, better, faster, stronger. That's our role in this industry, and that's what we want to do. We're the Robin to the Superman, right? The pool store, the pool guy, they're still the Superman. We're just the sidekick that helps everybody just work smarter, better, faster.
For sure. I mean, basically, Ravi, if you could just give me the elevator pitch real quick about some problems that Sutro solves and maybe some services you offer that other similar in-class products don't.
Yeah, so to the homeowner, the elevator pitch is very simple. Sutro is a robot that floats in your pool with an app on Apple or Android that tells you exactly what chemicals to put and when. And the kind of asterisk there is when you do look at other technologies out there, just make sure to see if they're using ORP or a millivolt value for your chlorine, because that doesn't make sense. And Sutro does it in true ppm. That's the kind of defining factor there. On the service and the kind of industry side, the value of Sutro is to get a deeper connection to the people that you service, the homeowners, the pool owners, so that you can treat them better with better services. And Sutro does that by enabling chemistry management from pool stores to service technicians to pool builders to help you build a stronger relationship with your customers.
What are the price points on Sutro and what's included in the service at what levels?
Yeah, Sutro has two major kind of tiers of price points. We sell the device for $699, and we include 1 year's worth of cartridges inside there. As I mentioned, those cartridges are the consumable piece that actually stores the reagents. And after the first year of that $699 purchase, it's basically $29 per month after that. The beauty of Sutro is that you can start and stop your subscription whenever you want. So if you're in the Northeast, and if you only have a 4 or 5 month season, you only pay for those months that you're using it. We don't charge you for the remainder months.
I guess it's pretty advantageous to be able to stop and start services needed, right?
Correct, right? Like you don't want to be putting out money if you're in New York or Boston in December and January. You're just not using your pool then, and the finances start to take a drain on you. And so we wanted to build a model that was more comfortable to the users that are using it.
For sure.
The other thing I should mention is we do have another price point for $199. That one does not have a year's worth of cartridges included, but there's two subscription models on that of a 29 or 39 at Basic or Pro. So $199, 29 or 39.
What kind of bodies of water can you measure with Sutro? I mean, does it do pools, hot tubs? Does it do saltwater pools, commercial? What kind of pools does it do?
Yeah, it does them across the board. So starting at the homeowner side, it does your regular swimming pool. It does hot tubs. Inside the swimming pool, we can do saltwater, chlorine, and bromine if people have bromine pools. Bromine spas, definitely. We have also built the algorithm that's able to do ozone and UV systems because they require a lower residual of chlorine. So for those out there that have UV or ozone, Sutro does work with that as well. On the commercial side, we are working on an inline unit. Obviously, there's some problems with having something that's floating inside the swimming pool. And one of the goals of Sutro is to actually go for an NSF or ANSI certification. And the kind of taking out all the complexity in that is that actually allows us to fully automate commercial pool management because they are required by law to measure their pool chemistry, 3 times up to 7 or 8 times a day, depending on what state you're in. And the only way that you can combat that is by using a reagent or color-based test system, which is why none of the ORP guys can basically go inside there and measure commercial pools. And that language comes from the EPA. It comes from the drinking water side of things. And so that's kind of the nice part about Sutro and how we do use colorimetry and reagent technology such that we can go into commercial eventually, but probably not today with something that's floating and not inline.
What's next for you guys? You've got this great product now. I mean, how are you working to refine it and improve it?
Yeah, I mean, the kind of more Sutros that we get out there, the smarter the system becomes, right? The system uses machine learning to better calculate pH, free chlorine, alkalinity. So that's one, right? We are strengthening and beefing up the software. We are pushing hard into the industry. We want to make sure that, as I mentioned, dealers and service technicians are, smarter and better in doing their jobs utilizing Sutro. So that's the other thing that we're doing. And then the third piece is, we have a few different things up our sleeves in terms of products 2, 3, 4, and 5. As I mentioned, we want to get into the inline Sutro for the commercial environment. We have a few things around, equipment that we want to look at because water chemistry is not just the chemicals, it's also pumping and filtration. So there's potentially, areas to play in over there. And then the kind of last thing is the company's ethos looks at technology as a conversation, right? Technology is not meant to be this one and done thing of, hey, we've just given you something, take it or leave it. The people that use Sutro are pool owners, it's the dealers, it's the service technicians. And we encourage everybody across the industry to send us their feedback, right? If the app is not working, let us know, right? The iPhone 12 is better than the first iPhone 3G. And we want to be that same exact kind of path forward in continuing to have this engagement and conversation with the industry to build a better product. And that's the only way that we're going to be able to do it.
Hey, Ravi, thank you so much today for giving us the time and teaching us a little bit more about Sutro. I mean, I know you're a hyper intelligent guy. I've been following you for a long time. I've watched your TED Talks. I know you're super passionate about water chemistry and really involved in the industry. So thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on the show.
That was Ravi Kurani, CEO of Sutro, the smart pool monitor and complete maintenance system for your pool or spa. If you're interested in learning more about Sutro, why not head over to their website, mysutro.com. Thanks again for joining us on another Pool Magazine podcast, and make sure to subscribe to us on Spotify, Google Podcast, iHeartRadio, or your favorite streaming provider. We'll catch you next time on another episode of Pool Magazine Podcast.